say anything that we did make some phone calls. We talked to his management company, Eddie Vedder's. Well, let me just say where I'm coming from first. I am appalled at the free license some rock groups and rock musicians think they have to trash property. I am appalled at that. That if I had a hotel, I wouldn't let those people in. And I can't imagine the mentality of someone who thinks that they can trash hotel property. I think that rock groups think they can do it because they get away with it. I guarantee they would not get away with it with me. Under any circumstances. I could not stand to see my property. Where's the pride of ownership? To see my property despoiled and defoiled and spat upon by some spoiled brat musicians? We called the management company of Pearl Jam, and we spoke to a woman there who did not want to come on the air, and we asked her point blank if Eddie Vedder or Pearl Jam as a group routinely trash hotel rooms. And she said the group never does. Of course, I don't know what you'd expect a spokesman of the management company to say. Maybe that's true. I have no way of knowing. I've never heard that they trash rooms until now. She said the group never does, and that this was just a reaction to what Eddie Vedder was feeling. Well, naturally, we wanted to know the name of the Washington, D.C. hotel where they stayed, because we wanted to talk to the management there and see what the damage was and their version of it, but she wouldn't give us that information. So, that's the fact. I think this is just outrageous. A lot of people feel bad about Kurt Cobain, and a lot of people feel bad when things happen to them or in their lives or with people that they love, but they don't feel that they can trash hotel rooms. I think it is an outrage. I think it is an expression of arrogance nearly beyond belief. It's an absolutely inappropriate display of grief, to say the least. I think that people that indulge in this kind of stuff for any reason whatsoever are spoiled little brats that deserve to be taken down a peg. I think that people should never get away with this, no matter what. And as a matter of fact, when I think of this kind of behavior, this kind of deliberate destruction, it reminds me again that maybe Singapore hasn't got such a bad idea. Maybe the penalty for this kind of stuff should be caning. Spank the spoiled little brat. I think rock groups trash hotel rooms because they can get away with it. They're allowed to get away with it. I can't imagine a hotel letting you do it. I can't imagine a manager or an owner of a hotel not saying, no, not in my hotel you don't. No way. But that isn't what happens. They're allowed to. I'll take your reactions on this. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Got much more to say on it. Oh, wait a minute, I do want to say one other quick thing. This second line, after he says how he tore the place to shreds, he says, then I just kind of sat in the rubble, which somehow felt right. It felt like my world at the moment. I didn't like that comment either very much. I found that, in my view, to be very kind of 20-something-ish, self-absorbed, pseudo-psychological mumbo-jumbo. And Eddie Vedder is an icon. Eddie Vedder's a big hero. Lots of kids read that quote. 441-5464 is my number in Seattle. It's 1229 at King 1090.
Diane was alarmed that rising medical costs were driving up her workers' compensation premiums.
All right, I'm coming to the radio. Rick Miller, King 1090. Couple things going on here right now. If you're dialing in and getting a busy signal, well, keep on trying, and I'll tell you why. Totally shocking to me. Lots of people are calling in. They're very angry. I'm expecting to be angry at me over my comments about Eddie Vedder. No. They're angry about me, they think that I'm about the homosexual business. and yet they won't come on. They give Andrea an earful, berate her, then hang up. Andrea says, well, stay on. Say that to Rick. I wouldn't talk to that son of a bitch for anything. There's your good, God-fearing religious folk, by the way. I wouldn't talk to that son of a bitch for anything. Click. Next one. Same thing. Rick must be gay the way he talks about this. Wow. Amazing, huh? Amazing. So the point is, if you're getting a busy signal, keep on trying, because some people are venting their spleen, but they won't come on the radio. See? They won't come on the radio. So what are they deserving of? Well, I'll tell you what they're deserving of. They're deserving of the Rick-cinerator. That's what they're deserving of, and that's what they shall get. Let's go to the calls nonetheless. By the way, the phone number is 441-5464 in Seattle and 1-800-833-5464. The careful listener will note that 5464, by the way, that's the ending digit. Spells K-I-N-G. Also, if you have a cell one phone, toll free at star 1090. If you want to fax us, you can do that at 448-1840. And we can talk to Kathy in Black Diamond on King 1090.
Well, Rick, her voice has changed.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Check it out. This is Scott in Seattle.
Scott, I hit the wrong button, man. You're going in the cooler so fast your head will spin. Kathy. False alarm, Kathy.
Okay.
You're on King 1090.
This is, yes.
Yeah.
This is Kathy.
Yes, Kathy.
I barely heard your comment. I was just walking past the carpenter who's working on my house, has his radio on, and I heard about some rock and roll singer who destroyed the rooms.
Yeah, Eddie Vedder, lead singer of Pearl Jam, really trashed a room in Washington, D.C.
I don't know who he is, but 20 years ago I used to be a maid at the Edgewater Inn.
Oh.
Same thing. And we were one of the only hotels in Seattle that allowed rock and roll groups to come to our hotel because they did destroy everything they touched.
Ooh.
And their simple theory was that they were well off and they could afford it.
Sure, they can trash you because they can pay for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to me, that's pretty immature. First of all, we didn't enjoy going into rooms like that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't. They would throw TVs in the bay, dressers in the bay, mattresses in the bay, out the windows into the bay, break the windows out, throwing things in. It was just ridiculous. And my personal thought is, there's a lot more ways to show you've made it in the world and to be seen visibly than destruction. They could have donated money to orphans. They could have donated money to any charity. They could have done a lot of things with that money and still be seen.
Can you name some of the groups?
Well, the one I remember distinctly was Bad Company.
I don't know them.
Well, see, they were coming up in the world 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was not a rock and roll lover, so I don't...
What'd they do?
They tore it up. They threw the beds out the window, threw the TVs out the window, threw the lamps out, threw everything out.
Generally speaking, how many rock groups, just in general terms, did you clean up after?
I would say...
are we talking 10 or 20 or...
In the 3 or 4 years that I worked there, I probably cleaned up after 10 different groups.
And what was the general state of disarray?
The general state was a pig pen, an absolute pig pen, but not just for rock and roll stars. We sponsored a lot of the telethon people that would come to Seattle telethons.
Yeah.
And the well-known, the older generation, the Billy Barnes and those kind of people were great. Mm-hmm. The Grandpa Walton, he came, he was great. But it was the younger ones. The younger ones thought they were it in the world, and they just destroyed everything they touched.
But I'm stumbling over the word destroy. I don't know what you mean by destroy. I heard you say they throw mattresses and stuff, but what does destroy mean? Well, do they throw bricks through TV sets, put holes in the walls, light fire to the carpet?
They mostly loosened everything up from its fixed place and threw it out the window into the bay.
Well, that certainly is destroying.
That's
now, that happened with more than that one group, you said?
Oh, yeah, it happened with more than one rock and roll group.
Did you talk to any of them? Did you get to know any of these people, even on a very elemental, cursory basis?
I did speak to some of the Bad Company people, and I was given some rock and roll tickets years ago, which I gave to my little brother and took him down there.
Yeah. What was the management's attitude towards all this?
Well, they knew that the rock and roll groups paid well, and that they couldn't go anywhere else, and they could get the business.
Were they big tippers?
No.
Really?
No.
You mean you'd go in and...
tip from a rock and roll group in my life.
Did you say you'd never gotten a tip from a rock and roll?
No, not from a star, not from anybody like that.
And you were a maid?
I was a maid in the hotel for 3 years.
Oh, Lord.
Now, I got tips from tourists and common travelers, and lots of people from Canada were good at tipping, but never from a star.
What
never from a star.
What a bunch of major sanctimonious pipsqueaks.
Yeah,
I
well,
can't
that's my
believe
thought.
it. Kathy, thank you for your call, young lady. By the way, Kathy, would you like to have a couple of sandwiches from the sub shop to kind of soothe your wounds after not being tipped by those pipsqueaks?
Sure.
You stay right there, Kathy. Andrea, if you please. Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy's going to the sub shop, about 30 different locations all over the Puget Sound area. Great sandwiches. Haven't had one recently. Probably should. They're wonderful. Tried a lot of their stuff. Blue and white sign. Now there's a way to get King 1090 programming and station information right at your fingertips. It's called US West Easy Source, and you'll find the directory in your new... To you like you're a 6-year-old, I am Rick Vedder, King News Talk 1090. That's a great line in the movie, the very disappointing movie to me, Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington has a line in there when he's trying to, I love the line, when he's trying to get an explanation from somebody about something, and I think he wants to strike a preemptory, wants to make a preemptory strike to the person as if to say, look, don't BS me, don't talk roundabout, and don't talk over my head, but give me the answer to this question. So his opener always was this: explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old, or Mr. So-and-so, tell me like I'm a 6-year-old why such and such. And I love that line. I'm remembering it, especially when I deal with bureaucrats. Well, tell me, maybe I'll do it with cops, too. Maybe I'll do it with cops that head up gang units. Well, explain to me like I'm a 6-year-old why such and such. Kelly in Renton, you're on King 1090.
How you doing, Mr. Miller?
Fine, Mr. Kelly. Trying to put me off balance. See, I remember you now. Trying to put me off balance with all this politeness.
Oh, no, I am polite.
Oh, all right, Kelly.
I'm the nice Nazi next door.
All right. I shouldn't be laughing at that, Kelly.
Hey, from now on when I come on, will you play some German marching music for me?
No. No, I'm not going to glorify your position.
Okay, well, I called about it. I didn't see that show last night.
Yeah?
Okay?
Yeah.
I had more important things to do, like watch WWF wrestling or something.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, you bring up that movie Philadelphia. Okay, and what got me was a remark you made that, people should watch this show to gain more tolerance and understanding.
And acceptance.
You're taking two characters from a television show and putting that towards real life like this is the way their lifestyle really is. I've never seen Northern Exposure, all right?
Yeah.
But it's a known fact, okay, over 50% of all hospital beds in San Francisco are filled with AIDS patients.
Yeah.
They own a patent on the AIDS virus, basically. And, you're sitting here making it like these guys are just the typical run-of-the-mill homosexual, and that's not true.
No, yes, it is.
You pointed it out.
Well, Kelly, you have an outdated view of homosexuals in San Francisco. For an example, it's true that's where AIDS really, in the United States, that's where AIDS really took off and started running because of the bathhouses. Well, no, it's not.
No, you're going to go to intravenous drug users, and let me tell you, a lot of homosexuals are IV drug users.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that by all statistics and all accounts, the gays in San Francisco have really cleaned up their act, and they are no longer HIV is not breaking out in record numbers anymore in San Francisco or anywhere else.
That's because it's reached its saturation point, sir.
Well, isn't that an interesting interpretation?
Yes. And if
in other words, are you denying that homosexuals might have finally gotten the word that their behavior is the most high risk of all, and therefore they're not going to engage in it, or they're going to limit themselves to one partner? Are you denying that gays can't figure that out?
I'm not denying that they can't figure it out. I'm denying, though, that they do it.
Is it your belief, then, that gays are going around screwing each other with impunity?
Yes, basically.
Well, see, you can't support that. There is no statistic that will support that.
There isn't?
No.
80% of all AIDS cases in this country, and I think it's higher, are homosexuals.
That's exactly right. That's true. 50%
of venereal disease in this country, sir, and they make up 2% of the population.
It doesn't... gays don't make up 2% of the population.
Yes, they do. You're going on that Kinsey study, which has been...
I'm going by every credible study that has ever been released on homosexuality, who all set the figure at somewhere around 10 to 12%. The only studies that don't have been bought and paid for by the Christian right, Pat Robertson, Rush Limbaugh crowd.
I'm not of the religious right. I'm not a Judeo-Christian. I'm an identity Christian, and that's for another show. I'm not going to go into that. But
you want to cling to your bias, fear, and hatred of homosexuals, don't you?
If they're willing to change and clean up their act, I'll accept them.
What do you want them to do?
I want them to change their lifestyle.
You want them to stop being attracted to each other?
Yes, because it's not normal. Read Romans 1:21 verses 32.
Oh, are you a liberal interpreter of the Bible?
No, I'm not. He talks about how they were given over to a depraved and reprobate mind, and they paid the due penalty for their error.
Is this the source for your beliefs of the Bible?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Kelly, that is why, despite your veneer of politeness and your rather good and winning personality and delivery, this is why your value system is completely askew. You have fooled me. You may have fooled some members of the audience with your slick delivery. But all you are at bottom is a Bible-toting, bigoted, hateful type of guy, and that's a shame, because I think you're made of sterner stuff. You're a better man than that. I think it's a terrible waste.
The term hate here is subjective, but
okay.
Again, that's for another show.
All right, Kelly. You know, that's the worst. To me, that's the worst example of what's wrong. It is comforting to me to listen to ignoramuses, often of the type that call Rush Limbaugh, who they just open their mouths and you can see how stupid they are. They can't use the language. They say the dumbest things without knowing it. And you say, well, yeah, they believe that stuff, but they're real stupid, so it doesn't matter. And that's comforting to me. But then you get somebody that's pretty sharp, somebody that has a command of the language, someone that is somewhat well-read, someone that appears to have the ability to understand the truth of a matter if he addresses himself to it and still believes that stuff. That, to me, is the scary part. It's the latter example that scares me. 1252 at King 1090.
To avoid any confusion regarding where we at C's...
Well, now you can never say that you don't know who Bad Company is, who was referred to by a caller in the previous segment. This is Bad Company. A little louder there, Ian. Bring it up.
Whatever I want, and baby, I want you.
Well, they're okay. I don't know this group. They're okay with me, though. Of course, I don't like the way they trash rooms. At least they are said to trash rooms. Scott in Ballard, you're on King 1090.
Hi, Rick. Have you checked out exactly all of the stuff that this kid over in Singapore did?
Yes.
What do you know about it? Do you know about all of the tire cutting and the window smashing?
Tire cutting and window smashing? No, I haven't heard that. I've heard that he is basically charged with having signs in his room, which they assume that he gathered, although he says it was his roommate.
I phoned a business partner of mine who checked it out.
Yeah.
This kid and a bunch of his buddies for 2 weeks terrorized a section. There were 8 of them, all foreign students. And what we've gotten over here has been a really smoothed-over version. They trashed a lot of things, but the thing is that they caused a tremendous amount of mental anguish to the people of Singapore because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
Now, direct correlation with this clown Eddie Vedder, trashing a room back there. We should have him clean up his own mess.
Well, that's for sure.
I am so sick and tired of listening to Generation X and sitting where his world is in the middle of this mess that he made. Hey, if they want to make a mess of their world, go ahead, but leave mine alone. But this thing, as far as you were talking about the caning,
yeah,
we don't have the whole picture over here.
Tell me, how do you have this information? 2 questions. Number one, very specifically, how do you happen to have this information, and how do you account for the fact that although this has been a page one story in all the media for about a month or more, not one media outlet has come up with any of the stuff that you just said? How do you explain that?
I can only tell you what my business partner told me. I was kind of interested.
Give me the details. Tell me specifically what he said that we don't get in the newspaper.
They literally they were spraying paint on cans, or paint on cars.
Wait a minute, I've got a better idea. Can you give us the phone number and name of your business partner? We'll call him in Singapore.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do it. I'm not going to do it over the air.
No, I know that. Andrea, what we'll do, Andrea, you just hang on when we're through talking. Andrea will get let's see, I think Singapore is about 23 hours ahead of us, aren't they?
It would be 16, 18.
18 hours
about
ahead?
That, yeah, and it was through my partner in Italy.
So that'd be about 6 in the morning.
Conversation. So what I will do is I will give you my partner in Italy and then have him patch you through.
Why is that necessary?
Because I don't know whether Calara is there at the office right now.
Well, but why? But do you have the name and number of the guy in Singapore?
Yes.
Well, why can't we just call him direct?
We can do that if you want. If he's in, fine.
Okay, but what's the other option?
The other option is to get a hold of my partner in Italy, who is working more closely with him and who has his itinerary. The last that I heard was Calara was in Stockholm.
Okay, we'll work out these details off the air. Be sure and hang on.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, well, is that what you wanted to say, Scott?
Basically, the thing that I wanted to know was why doesn't anybody do anything about this guy trashing a room? I mean, this has been going on ever since the Rolling Stones started it.
Well, nobody does anything about it because the hotels are happy to take the big money that the rock groups are happy to...
So it's the old money thing again, huh?
Well, everything is the money thing. I mean, what possible excuse could any hotel have for admitting any rock group, much less ones that have a reputation for trashing the premises?
Well, being the age of 35 instead of 34, I haven't got an answer, Rick.
Well, I don't either. All right, now, Scott, stay right there, okay?
Yeah, I'll hang on.
All right, Andrea, all the details, please. And we will put that call in. If there's some information out of Singapore that is not reaching us, we will go right to the horse's mouth. But I will tell you what I suspect. What I suspect is this is a bunch of baloney. I think this is going to be a blind alley, but I want to walk down it anyway, especially since there seems to be a third party involved now, and I want to know. Well, we're going to go all the way with this, though. We're going to go all the way with this, and if indeed there is something going on in the way of activity that this Michael Fay engaged in that has not reached any of the media, I will find that astonishing, but we will follow up with it all the way. All right, that's going to be coming up in the next hour. Also, we will continue with the discussion of not just what Eddie Vedder did in Washington, D.C., but the whole concept, the whole idea, the whole phenomena of these people trashing property this way. How can they do this? I find this more offensive than a lot of other things. And I don't. But you know why? Because it's so willful. It really bugs me. These people ought to get. Somebody ought to take their measure, but good. I didn't realize I felt this strongly about it. More besides. But now it's news time at King 1090. 1 o'clock, everybody. Well, how about cute? How come nobody says anything about he's opinionated and controversial and he's kind of cute?
Music of Mozart variations on A vous dirige maman, as executed by Rick Miller.
Thank you very much. Kind of cute, that Rick Miller. That's what I've always heard. You know, the best question that has ever been asked of me on a live radio is, Rick, how do you determine what's true? How do you find the truth? The question was asked of me in Seattle on the radio. I'll never forget the question. Oh, what a question! You know how you determine the truth? First of all, you hope you bring a modicum of intelligence to the table. And you hope you have a critical eye and are a very careful listener. And you hope you have a little bit of intuitiveness. And you hope that you're well informed and very open-minded to all possibilities. And then it's still difficult because there's so much conflicting information out there, and it's flashed around the world in an inkling, in the blink of an eye. So it's tougher than ever to know what's really true. Now, I don't know whether your alarm bells were going off when this previous caller talked about, this special information about Singapore, but my alarm bells went off instantly. Why? In my eternal search for truth? Because he's saying something that I've never heard anywhere before. That's problem number one about these so-called extra activities of Michael Fay in Singapore. How come I haven't heard of this anywhere else? I read the papers, watch television. How come I've never heard of it? So that's alarm bell number one, but alarm bell number two is even bigger. If there's any truth to this, why hasn't some publication picked it up and then flashed it around the world? Why doesn't anybody know about this? Or if they do know about it, why aren't they running with it? So you got two gigantic alarm bells going off right now. Nonetheless, we're going to follow up on this. We're already getting a little bit, we can't call the guy directly in Singapore because we got to have a patch through to a guy in Germany, and it's just, and all of this, I'm feeling, Rick, you got cider in your ear, and Andrea's thinking, brother Rick, what a wild goose chase this is, and I say, Andrea. I call her Andrea. Andrea, this is air quality stuff. I'm going to show the listeners what we go through and the blind alleys we go down in finding and searching out and rooting out the truth like a couple of porcupines. And Andrea says, is that the whole reason? Yes, Andrea, that's the reason. We're going to bring you the bottom of this. You know where it's going to end up? It's going to end up absolutely nowhere. Nobody's going to know nothing. But we're going to prove that point to you once and for all so that maybe some of you out there that are so fast and willing to listen to every cock and bull story you hear from every source, especially if I'm not even going to characterize it. Listen to any cock and bull source that, it must be true, I heard it on the radio. This is your opportunity to see you've got to have a little more critical nature. And you got to be just a little more skeptical when you listen to people and hear what they have to say. This story is going to go nowhere. Yes, and now Andrea's writing me a note. See, I told her, since this guy won't give us the name of the Singapore we got the name of the doctor in Singapore, blah, 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 but we don't have the number, so we call information. No enlisting. So now Andrea's saying, should I go through the Italian connection?
Andrea, we go through the Italian, we call our people in Italy. We take care of things. We have some spaghetti and pasta. And we discuss everything. Don't worry, I'll pay for it. Everything taken care of. And then we see whether there's any problems with the Tattaglias and the Spositos and the astronomicals. So Andrea, call all our people all over Italia. Call them all, Andrea. Call them now, before dinner. Bet she's sorry she asked that question. Little stinker. Joe in Kirkland, you're on King 1090.
Yeah, Rick, I'm talking to the Don, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a first-time caller.
Yes.
And I probably should have told Andrea that, but, you're going to have a hard time finding the truth. Truth isn't found in words. You're going to find facts and opinions. And the truth is going to be actualized. But that's not what I wanted to talk about anyway.
Yes, well, the truth can set you free.
Of course it can.
Joy to the world.
If you can only find it.
Yeah.
But, both your topics have interested me. I originally called about the Eddie Vedder, which I don't even know the guy. I can only put some insight as far as knowing the emotions that would actually get somebody to tear a hotel room apart. Mm-hmm. Because I've gone through that myself, and I'm not a rock star, but it's the same type of frustration that a young person goes through that gets them to either do one of two things: go and kill themselves, like Kurt Cobain did, because he held it all in, or trash something although it's not a responsible way of dealing with your feelings. It's an outpouring of the feelings. Shows that he's in probably as much trouble as Kurt is.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
You don't think it's just pure willful license because they can get away with it?
I don't think so, unless he has a history of doing it from town to town.
Oh, you're talking about Eddie Vedder in particular in this particular case.
Well, yeah.
Okay, but why would... But I'm tempted to give you that part of your argument. However, why... let's say that this is the only time Eddie Vedder has done this, which I mean, if that's what his production company says or his public, if they want to say that, I have no evidence otherwise, so I'm willing to believe that. I don't, but nonetheless, on the bottom line, it's not excusable even once. Why choose this avenue? Why not do something else?
Yeah, it's not excusable, although everyone grieves, I guess, in different ways.
No. Nobody, no poor person gets to trash a hotel room.
Well, I was a poor person. I got to trash a hotel, and I got in a lot of trouble for it.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if I should dare tell this story. I trashed a hotel room in Paris. I threw the bed out the window.
And what was the emotion that got you? I mean,
you know what it had to do? You know what it had to do? Oh, God, do I dare say this? Oh, Lord.
Well, I'm being honest with you. It's just you and me.
Oh, man. Boy, here's where the river meets the road. I don't want to be coy. People are thinking, oh, come on, Rick. Either come out with it or shut up.
Yeah, really. You got me really interested.
I was very young. I was in my 20s, and I was running a little wild, and... I didn't think that I was getting full value from a hooker. God, I can't believe it. I was very young. I was very, very, very young, and I threw the bed out the window, and then they came after me, and I ran, and oh, God. It was right off Little Pension, right off the Arc de Triomphe. I remember it well. Anyway.
And you got your frustrations out on a bed. Better than getting it out on the hooker herself.
You know, that was one of the great... Yeah, I wouldn't have taken it out on the hooker because she didn't speak English anyway. But, see, I was young and romantic, and I thought, well, even though she's a hooker, isn't there a little love involved here?
Yeah.
I was so disillusioned.
Well, there you go, young and romantic.
Yeah.
I think it's the romantic that...
But I did. I actually threw the... And you know what was the most awkward part? Here's how I should have gotten dressed before I threw the bed out the window, but I didn't. It was the second floor, and here I am, and I've already thrown the springs out. Now the mattress is going out, and that's when they come into the room. Boy.
Well, I tell you.
Forgotten all about that.
So maybe you understand a little bit more about emotion.
I busted through. Well, I was young and stupid and drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's three factors that I know that.
I did a heck of a broken field run. There was two of them, and I did a heck of a broken field run through them. Grabbed my clothes, ran down the stairs. God, I've forgotten all about that.
Of course, you wouldn't do that today.
Oh, good Lord, no! I wouldn't have done it. No, this was my coming out party, so to speak.
Well, that's why you can't right now, or you weren't identifying with Eddie Vedder's frustration or whatever he had.
Well, but okay, look, I can't deny that I did throw that mattress out the window. I did that. That's true.
And did you pay for it?
Oh, Lord, no, I ran like that.
Right.
But that's all I did. And I don't think for a minute that I was right. Boy, I've really bit off more than I can chew here, you know what? So,
I didn't mean to...
Anyway, what'd you call about?
That's what I originally called about, but I think the issue about gays was getting really interesting, too.
Yeah.
And your caller, what, Kelly was his name?
Yeah.
You would figure that showing a situation like they had in Northern Exposure where two men are committing themselves to be in a relationship and not be promiscuous would be a positive. That we should be promoting that type of thing more often. And I don't know what the numbers are, whether that's more normal for gays to get together in a couple and be monogamous, or whether promiscuity is the preferred lifestyle. But I think that's where so many people have their troubles. And I think there's as many promiscuous, or probably a lot more promiscuous, heterosexuals that are going around. Nobody has the trouble with them going around and with their lifestyles, because because they're normal.
I got you, Joe. Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much, Big Joe. Get ready to jot down a telephone number that will save you time and a lot of money. Because Alpine Carpet and Drapery Cleaners is having their spring cleaning sale 35% off. That's right. If you call Alpine now and mention this announcement, you can save 35% on carpet, upholstery, drapery, and blind cleaning. In addition to the savings, Alpine will come to your home or office to take down and professionally reinstall your draperies and blinds at no additional charge, all within 2 days. Or have one of Alpine's certified technicians gently clean your upholstery or deep clean your carpeting with one of their new state-of-the-art van-powered units. 121 at King 1090. I'm Rick Miller. This is Derek and the Dominoes. You know, Ian Henry, my young board man, he said, Rick, remember that Eddie Vedder also is young, drunk, and what was the other thing? And dumb. Young, dumb, and drunk. Which is what I wasn't really trying to excuse my own terrible behavior in Paris, but I guess I was clearly explaining what my state of mind was. And Eddie Vedder, well, it's true. I mean, Eddie Vedder's 29. I mean, I was 22. Does that matter? I did trash your room, though. But I'm not proud of that. And I shouldn't have gotten away with it. And the only reason I did get away with it is because I ran. Boy, if they'd have caught me, can you imagine what they'd have done to me in Paris? Oh. They didn't call me Broken Field Rick for nothing. Now they call me Broken Down Rick, even though I'm only 34 years old. We're working feverishly on this Singapore deal. It's going to go nowhere. You know what the biggest problem with it is? It's all second and third hand stuff. Well, I heard this and there and that. Yeah, right. You bet. Dennis in a car phone, you're on King 1090. We're calling the Singapore embassy now. Dennis in a car phone, you're on King 1090.
Right, Rick.
Yeah.
Let's get the name calling over to start with.
Okay.
I'm a Bible thumper.
Okay.
I'm probably considered to you a right-wing, maggot-infested Rush Limbaugh, Pat Robertson ditto head.
Okay, I'd never call you maggot-infested.
Oh, okay.
But the rest, if you're guilty of that, shame on you.
I'm guilty of it and proud of it.
Okay.
But my first topic would be gays.
Okay.
Homosexuality, and anything else you want to call it today.
Well, we know what you're talking about.
Right. I had two brother-in-laws. The operative word is had.
Yeah.
One of them died from AIDS at age 37. The other died of AIDS at age 41.
What a tragedy.
All they did was kill themselves. They didn't hurt the rest of the family. They've deprived my kids of ever knowing their uncle.
Yeah.
But they've enjoyed life. They enjoyed it to the fullest. They went to California.
These are who are these? Your brothers?
Brother-in-laws.
Brother-in-laws, okay.
They both lived the high life. They flew in and out of Sweden on the any jet they wanted to, anytime they wanted to.
Why Sweden?
Because that's where they first got introduced to the gay lifestyle.
In Sweden?
That's right.
They didn't have, what town were they living in?
They were living in Los Angeles, and a guy down there invited them to go to Sweden.
You mean, wait a minute. You mean they didn't have any gays in Los Angeles?
Well, they got introduced to it through a guy that took them to Sweden.
Now, let me understand this. These two brothers-in-law, that means that they were both married to women.
No, neither one were married. They're my wife's brothers.
Oh, of course, your wife. Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Neither one ever got married.
Okay, yeah.
One of them tried to get married to another gay guy, but he didn't live long enough.
All right, I understand. So they couldn't discover any homosexuals in Los Angeles, the second largest city in America, so they had to go to Sweden, which isn't even in the even in the size of the Manhattan Beach?
No, they discovered the lifestyle down there, but they found the sweetness and the finances of it in Sweden.
The sweetness and the finances?
Well...
What do you mean the sweetness and the finances?
Bobby, the oldest one.
The what?
My oldest brother-in-law, Bobby.
Yeah?
Would get paid anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 to make a trip to Sweden to show up with the rest of the gays over there. And he loved that $5,000 and $10,000.
Now, wait a minute. Who paid him $5,000 to $10,000?
The pimps.
The pimps in America?
Yes.
They paid him $5,000 to $10,000 to go over
to take him to Sweden, all expenses paid,
so that he could be a hooker, a male hooker for Swedish men.
That's right.
Why couldn't the Swedes get their own male hookers?
Well, it's much more fun to have an American, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's like you found it much more fun to have a French girl. I mean, it was fun.
Well, the only reason I was fascinated with the French girl at the time because I was in France. If I was in Germany, it would have been a German girl.
Oh, okay. Well, see, they were over there looking for the Americans. But at any rate, they got enticed in all the money, and the money just rolled. The best thing that happened is this last earthquake and the fires and stuff down south of Los Angeles, took everything that Bobby owned and burned it to a crisp 3 weeks before he died. Yes.
Now,
he died less than 2 months ago.
Okay, and how are you interpreting that?
The Lord took it away from him. It ain't here to argue with. I mean, he didn't hurt anybody but himself and took his friendship away from the rest of us. I kind of enjoyed knowing them. There are a few years I knew them.
Oh, you did? You liked them?
Well, as human beings, yes.
Yeah.
Their lifestyle, I deplored.
Yeah.
But see, even though I'm a Bible thumper, I do happen to have an open mind.
Yeah.
Now, I know for a fact, because I'm a good, solid Bible thumper, that when Bobby died, with his gay minister holding his hand saying, bless you, son, that he's got the privilege of burning in hell today. But that was his privilege.
You think that that's where Bobby is?
You better believe it. I know.
Okay. Now, other than the fact that he was a homosexual, what kind of a person was he in your view? I mean, putting aside his sexuality entirely, what can you say about the rest of his life and his personality and his temperament and his makeup and the way he related to people and that sort of thing?
He was a person that would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it.
He was a kind person.
Right.
And a generous person.
That's right.
And okay, then wait a minute. Then is the only bad thing that you can say about him the fact that he was a homosexual?
Yes, absolutely.
And do you believe that God is a kind and loving and just God?
I sure do, and I...
Okay. Well, then no speech is necessary, then let me ask you the next question. How you have already identified Bobby as being the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off his back, kind and generous in every way except that he was a homosexual. If that is indeed the truth, how could a kind and loving and just God turn his back on a person that has that many good qualities?
James 4:10 says, inasmuch as you have broken the least of these commandments, you have broken them all. He broke the commandment. All right,
Dennis, I want to ask you another question.
Okay.
This is a real compliment to you that I'm asking you this question. Or making this statement and getting your reaction. It must be very comforting for you to be able to refer to a Bible verse and get everything arranged through a Bible verse so that you don't have to really think about it. You don't have to really try and think through it. You don't have to try and figure out the logic of your position. All you have to do is read and recite by rote a piece of language in the Bible. That must make life very simple for you, doesn't it?
No, I wish it was that simple because I don't memorize that much scripture.
Well, you just gave me...
Even though I teach a Sunday school class.
You just gave me by memory something.
You bet.
Address yourself to my thing. I accuse you, my dear Dennis, of having a lot of potential for being a real decent human being, but it's being completely short-circuited by your insistence on relying on the printed word to do your thinking and feeling for you.
Well, let's do it without the scripture then. Let's go to the fact.
Let's do it that way.
Let's go to the fact.
Wait a minute, I tell you what, I want to do it, Dennis, this is wonderful. I do want to do it that way. I want to leave the scripture out, and I want to see what else you have to say on this. I think you're going to employ your brain and some logic and all that, and that will be very, very, very worthwhile for me and the audience to hear. We're going to do that, Dennis. You stay right where you are. I'm going to put you in the cooler. I'm going to bring you right back after this. It's 1:29, actually 1:30 now at King 1090. America West illustrate vividly for you what we in the talk show business go through if we are interested at all in accuracy. if we are interested at all in challenging callers to deliver the goods, if we are interested in being anything but a conduit for whatever mutterings people want to put out over the air. When I started in talk radio, I, wanting to do a complete and thorough job and having a natural curiosity anyway, would hear these wild-eyed stories from callers, and I would follow up on them. And when I was so raw at the time that sometimes I didn't even know that they sounded a little far-fetched, and I would do my checking, and I would find out every time, without exception, that these stories that were being told to me by listeners, always with an axe to grind or something, were nonsense, utter nonsense. They had no facts at their disposal at all, or they had one tiny kernel of truth, blew this big thing out, tried to blow something real big out of that, and it was all bogus. And it happened again and again and again. And finally, after about the 10th time, because I'm not a quick study, I said, you know what, Rick? This is a bunch of BS. These people don't know what they're talking about. They read something in some 2-bit newspaper churned out by somebody in his basement because he's biased against blacks or whites or Jews or Christians or somebody, and they cite it with perfect conviction and authority and say, this is it. And then a dummy like you goes off and runs down all these blind alleys. So that's when I decided, Rick, if you're going to survive in this business, you better develop your antenna. You better figure out what sounds plausible. And we just had an example on live radio of this. Guy calls up purporting to know something about the Singapore incident that no newspaper in the country or no television show in the country has picked up. Nobody knows it except him. Well, how do you know it? Well, I got this. First he represents it as getting it firsthand from Singapore, but then we kind of call him on it. Okay, well, we'll check it out then. And so we start getting phone numbers. Well, it's really not. I didn't know this guy. I didn't talk to this guy, but I talked to this guy in Italy, and so we make phone calls, and we can't get through to anybody, and nobody knows what we're talking about, and it's a blind alley, a total, complete blind alley. It's hearsay. It's, oh, well, he said, she said, he told me, and he's my third cousin, and he works for, you know. So we spent a lot of energy on this. We didn't spend a terrible amount of time, although Andrew's got a headache. I said, Andrew, did I give you that headache? And she said, no, yes. I said, what was that, Andrea? She said, no, yes.